Hi everyone and welcome to Stamp with Angela. I'm Angela Palmer and today with my Facebook Live I'm going to be sharing the Hippest Hippos stamp set which is available through Sale-A-Bration, and the card, I'm going to make two cards and I'm using that doing a sketch. So I'm going to show you how you can use a sketch example to kind of give you some ideas to make the card. So I'm going to first of all make one that's a very simple card. Basically just some cardstock, stamping, and then inks, although I am also using some blends to colour the image and things in. And then I'm going to step it up and show you how you can kind of just make that card a little bit more interesting and just sort of develop it further if you've got the necessary tools and things to be able to do that. Okay, I'm just going to check and make sure that this Facebook is going live, so just give me a moment, please. Because there was one time a couple of weeks ago where it just didn't seem to happen, so looking good. Yes, it is going live. So Sale-A-Bration, we've had it for July and August is the final month. So if you purchase an order of $110 or more, you can choose one of the level 1 items available, and that's some stamp sets and papers, and then there's a next level, level 2, spend $220 or more, and there are other items you can choose, either a bigger die set or papers and stamps, that kind of thing. So I'll show that to you in a moment when I turn my camera around and show you today's creation. So I appreciate you joining me, whether you're joining live, thank you, and otherwise you may get to watch this recording later. It might be on Facebook or it even might be on YouTube. So I'm sharing this Facebook Live and then I also upload it to YouTube, so it gives me an opportunity to share it to lots of you as well. So appreciate you joining. If you have any questions, please comment. I'll do my best to answer any during. If not, I will do my best to answer those questions as soon as I can afterwards. So today we're going to be looking at the Hippest Hippos stamp set, doing some colouring with blends, and I'm using kind of a sketch to the design, and I'll also tell you a little bit about how I actually came up with the colours and the ideas of what I'm going to do to start with. So this is the stamp set that's available through Sale-A-Bration, and even the papers I've used on this card are available with Sale-A-Bration. So this is our Sale-A-Bration brochure, and these are the hippos that are available. So spend $110 on anything you like, and you can choose it for free. And there are even some dies that go with it that you can cut out the hippos, and then lots of other extra things. You've got umbrellas and snorkels and water and boats and different things that you can add to it. I haven't used any of the dies today, but I've seen lots of wonderful creations using the dies, so keep that in mind. Now the papers I'm using, you might initially not recognize them. You might kind of see these flowery designs, which are very pretty. And obviously there's no flowers on my card, but if you flip it over and see the other side, generally it's sort of one colour, and you might recognize, I've got two of the same there. I've used these two here. So that's basically where my colour scheme came from, was from those patterns. Earlier this week I had coffee and cards, and we used, my card was originally what we did last week, the duck one. And I kind of thought, oh, maybe some people won't like the duck. So I came up with a hippo one as an alternative. And I gave them the option of the Orchid Oasis or the Daffodil Delight. And in the end, most people did the green. So I had lots of these pieces left over. So that was my starting point. I thought, well, I've already cut them. How can I use them? And so that's where they came from for today's card. I did just have to trim this one down, the bottom one here. But that's how I basically thought, well, I've got them sitting there, so let's get started and use them somehow. So sometimes you just need a starting point for your cards, and that's what I decided to do. Use up some things that I'd already pre-cut in a different way. So basically this is the sketch that I came up with for these cards. So I've got a piece here, which is the Daffodil Delight, which is 4 centimeters by 12.3. 12.3 is a slightly unusual measurement, I know, but that was because of the width of the note cards I was using, but just round it to 12.5, that's totally fine. And then this way here, so again, same width, 4 centimeters, and the width of the card, which is 10.5. So, and then just a piece, you can use whatever image you like. I'm obviously using the hippos, but you can use something else. So make it fit your card, but my piece today is about 5.5 centimeters by 7. So just to give you kind of a rough idea on measurements and things. And I'll try and share this later. So if you want to use this as a template, you can. And you'll see later, I'm going to step this card up. And I've changed this shape here to something else. All right, so let's get started. So my card base, like I said, so it's just a standard card, A4 card, folded in half. And I'm basically going to adhere this piece and this piece like that. Okay, nice and simple. So away we go. Trying to get as straight as possible. So I've done nothing else to the card base. I've just left it kind of plain. And then this one goes across this way, like so. Then the next part is stamping my sentiment. And then I'm going to use some blends to colour it in. All right, so I decided to make the flower yellow because it ties in with that. You could also do the Orchid Oasis if you wanted, and then a bit of green for the stem. And then the grey that I've used, depending on what you've got, I've got smoky slate, so that's what I've gone with. So when you're using blends, you want to use a ink that works well with that. And so the best ink to use, well, you should use Memento, and that way the colours won't blend when you're, with the stamped image, it won't blend or smudge the lines, as it were. Okay, so I've stamped my image. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do my flower and leaves first and just around it so that I don't kind of accidentally go over the lines. So the blends have got a thick tip and they've also got a thin tip. So sometimes, like for this, it's quite, I need to be quite careful. So I'm going to use the thin tip, and each colour comes with a dark and a light. So I want it to be quite bold, so I'm going to use the dark for this, okay? Now the lids are quite hard to put on and off, but that's important because we don't want them to be loose and dry out, and then we can't use them anymore. All right, so I'll do my leaf as well, or the stem. There we go. Now for kind of this part of his body, I'm going with the lighter of the two greys, and I'm just going to use my thinner tip. And I'm just going to sort of go around the edges first so I don't go over the lines. So I'm going to go all the way around. Now these are designed for blending, like their name. And you can get quite cool colouring with blending. This is quite a small sort of image, so I'm not going to blend too much. It's more of the contrast of the dark and light. Right. So that's a smallish area, so I can just colour with that little one. You can obviously go over again to make it a little bit darker around the edges, and I'm actually going to swap and change to my thicker end to do my colouring in. This tip has been well used, and then I might just have to touch up the edges a little bit more with any bits that I've missed. Just a little bit closer around the edge there. Now that it's coloured, I can see. Okay, so that's what I'm using the light smoky slate for. Then I'm basically going to use my dark for all the other areas. Again, it's kind of a tight space, so I'm going to use my narrow end. So the stamping blends come in pairs. They come in a dark and a light, because that's how you blend and get the great colour combination. Or like for this card, sort of that contrast of dark and light. So if you want to blend more, you could do a little bit of light, put some dark over it, put the light back over, blend the two colours together. It's very cool. Now you will notice if I turn this over that the ink does tend to come through the other side a bit. So just be aware of that. It's fine for this card because I'm going to be adhering it and you're not going to see the back. But if you colour directly on a white card front, it might come through. This is just standard basic white paper. Just trying to think with thick, it probably wouldn't come through quite so much, or maybe not at all. All right, So if there's areas I want to make a bit darker, I can kind of go over again, or maybe just kind of the edges. Just kind of deep, and if I wanted to, I could, you know, add a bit of light and kind of blend it over a little bit. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. All right, so there's my image. And then all I did was adhere it with dimensionals. I don't know if you can tell there's dimensionals there. And then stamp my little sentiments. So I've got just a tiny little piece here. And there's a few cool sayings. You could choose that, or you could just make it a general happy birthday or something with something else you've already got. Oops, now it's got a bit of, where's it gone? Ink from my fingers on it. So I probably need to trim it slightly. Okay, so just work out where you want to put them. So the big one I'm going to put on with some bigger dimensionals. And my little one, I'll just use the mini. Now I'm trying something different this week. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have got a different background. Let me know how you find this. Oh, that's not very straight. Let's adjust that. When I was kind of watching the videos afterwards, I noticed sometimes sort of it tries to come in and out of focus. So we'll see if this helps. So let me know. Okay, and then put that there. And that's basically it. Nice, simple, quick card. You could do a little bit more to it if you wish, or just leave it like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the same card, same layout, but stepped up. So see if you can see what the differences are. So there it is, same layout. So I don't know if you can tell. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So this is just plain in the background. This one's got some embossed background. I've die cut a shape. This has just been cut with a trimmer. I've die cut a shape which is the stitch shaped. So they are very cool. I'll show you them. I used them last week too, I believe. The actual one I've used is next to my die cutting machine. But you've got banners, you've got squares, and you've got circles of different sizes. So I've kind of done one that's around the right size for the image. And it cuts on the inside and it cuts on the outside. So you could use the window shape for it as well. And then I've put a little bit of bling on it, some sparkles as well. All right, so let's zoom out again. Not wrong way. All right, cool. Hi Joe, thanks for joining us today, and welcome to anybody else who is joining us live. I appreciate you watching. And we're halfway through now, so we'll carry on with the second card. So again, so this is the sketch that we're doing, the same as we did for the first card, except instead of this, I've just changed the shape and I've used a circle. So sometimes you just need something to get, like, you know, I knew I wanted to use the hippos, but I didn't quite know what to do. So I've created this sketch. This wasn't from anywhere else. I came up with it. But as I said in the beginning, it was using some scraps of DSP that I had, and then I came up with the sketch afterwards. But I thought showing it you like this would help you understand how it works in the measurements too. So I hope you find that useful. All right, so similar to the other card, but let's show you what I did. All right, move that one out the way. So I've got my card base as before. You could try and put that through the embossing folder, but sometimes because of the way it is, it's a bit tricky. So I actually like to have a separate piece which I'm going to emboss and put through. So the folders I used on this one, I've used the painted textures, which is kind of that effect. And I'm going to make one now with a different embossing folder, the time worn type folder, and they're both 3D embossing folders there, so they're quite thick ones. All right, no, actually no I'm not, because I've already done that one, sorry. I did that earlier. I don't know if you can tell the time worn one. I'm going to do the same. So I prepared that earlier just to save time. Okay, so we're going to adhere this. I tend to like to use glue, which doesn't, oh there we go, it doesn't want to come out, there we are. Some people I know like tape. All right, so it's just a little bit smaller. So that's not on the sketch, but it's 10 centimeters by 14.3 in case you're wondering. Okay, same with my pieces like before. Put this one and this one going across. Okay, try and get it straight. Okay, so that's the main basis for my card, and then this here. So I'm going to stamp again in Memento ink, which is what you need to use if you're using blends. So we'll do that. We'll stamp our little ballerina hippo and colour it in. So this time I've used the petal pink. It was kind of the closest colour I had in blends for that, and I'm probably going to use the darker one. The lighter one's quite light. So I need to colour in her ballet shoes or point shoes, and if I want a bit darker I can just go over it a few times. And her ballet skirt. So again, I kind of like to go around the edges first. You may have a different pink that you'd like to use, and that's fine. And we'll just do the under part as well. All right. So thank you for being patient, and as I colour, same thing, I'm going to do the lighter colour around this part and that part of the hippo's face to give that sort of two-tone. I don't know if you can tell on this one, but I sort of put a little bit of a dark edge around it just to try something different, but I probably prefer keeping it all light. So let me know, have you used stamping blends? Do you like to use them? Oh, I can't be bothered changing ends, so I'm just going to colour with this. So anyone here like using stamping blends? And the middle bit. So yes, they are quick, simple cards. Quick, simple idea, but yeah, kind of gives you an idea, gives you some inspiration. And you don't obviously have to do the hippos. You can use your favourite stamp set. You could use, whoops, wrong end. Read the ends with the lines on it to help me. You might want flowers, or you might have other cute stamps that you could use. And of course you can use whatever colours you've got. I had those pieces of scraps to use up. So that's how I chose my colours, because sometimes you can sit there for a while thinking, what colour shall I do? So or sometimes online you can see like a colour inspiration, and that can help you choose colours of what to use. All right, I'm trying to concentrate and talk at the same time. So, yeah. All right, nearly there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So yeah, so today's video is a lot quicker. I do think I just need to blend in on his face a little bit more, so I'm going to pull out my thicker one and just kind of colour that round a bit more. It's making a bit darker, but if we go over the whole thing, even though it's a light colour because it's another layer, it's just made it a bit darker, but not too dark, so that's good. I'm happy with that. So again, you can use whatever stamp you like. This one here is always on point because I have a daughter who loves ballet and does point. So she's got her point shoes on. It's not quite straight. Let's try the other way. Get 2 chances. Yeah, I think that's better. Usually I like to use punches and things to cut it out, but I noticed there's a stamp set in the catalogue which has lots of sayings on it, and then it kind of cuts out just around the edge of it, which I thought was quite a cool idea. So I thought, oh, why don't I do that with my sentiments? So just fussy cutting and trying to do a good job. All right, let's see how that looks. Cool, so we're nearly there. We've got to just add those with dimensionals and then add a bit of bling, and then I'll mention a couple of other things as well. So if you use this sketch idea, I'd love to see your creations. Feel free to share them. I'm not quite sure if you can include them on the post or not, or send them to me. Maybe I can share them, and I'll use the mini dimensionals for my smaller image. It's great being able to have the two sides. Whoops. Okay, whoops, we want it up the right way though. And then lucky last, our sparkles. And I usually use my take your pick tool to put those on with, so let's use a really big one up here. Remember, odd numbers are always good. 2, and then a little one at the bottom, 3. I did try the in color matte dots, which I do like, but they got a little bit lost against this. With these ones, I like the way they kind of pick up the color that is surrounding them, so that's quite cool. So there you go. So that is my stepped up version. So if you have embossing folders, die cut shapes, embellishments, you can add them. So that was the second card, and this was the first card. So very similar. If someone received this, whoops, we don't want dimensionals too, I'm sure they'd be very happy with that. They'd be, impressed. Nice colouring and everything too. But then if you want to step it up and do a bit more, you've got that option as well. So I'll just show you that sketch again. This is what it looks like. So regarding sketches, I've actually got a sketch program that I started last year, and each week I send out, well actually each month you get a sketch, and then over the 4 weeks I send a different card example using that sketch. And sometimes it might be like that, sometimes it might even be turned on its side or done differently, just to give you lots of ideas and inspiration, because sometimes we want to make a card but we just don't know where to start. So over 6 months you get 6 different sketches and then a different card sample each week. So every month, 1 sketch, 4 cards kind of thing. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, I'll include a link in this Facebook Live afterwards, and you're welcome to sign up for that. It's $17 a month, and it gives you lots of different ideas. So you get a sketch like this, you'd get a list of all the different things that I've used, so you can kind of see what's been used, and you can do it exactly the same or just use whatever supplies you've got. The idea is, to use what you've got. That's what we're trying to aim for with the sketch program. So it's LA card sketches because I'm doing it with Leanne. Leanne's from America, and we both have worked on this together, which has been lots of fun. All right, so the hippo, I've got a couple more cards to show you. This is what was also that they could do at Coffee and Cards on Tuesday. So this is where, I'd cut these pieces up for them to do. So again, we've got a circle. This was actually coloured with the technique that we've been doing over the last month, the watercolouring. So I actually used the ink and stays on ink, and then my water painters to colour these ones. And there's a bit of speckled stamping in the background, not sure how well you can see that, which was from another set in Sale-A-Bration, the Sketches one. And here is another card, so the Orchid Oasis, and the same kind of layout, but different colours and things. So that was the other cards that I had on offer, as well as the duck one like we did last week. So just to show you different ways, these are note cards, whereas these are your standard size card. So there you go. So thank you for watching today's Facebook Live. I'm enjoying doing this each week. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I hope it inspires you. If you've got any questions or any ideas for future ones, do let me know. Really appreciate that. If you are watching this on YouTube later on, please like it and please subscribe to my channel too. And even if you're not watching it at the moment on YouTube, you may like to check out my YouTube channel, because I've got lots of other videos and things that aren't Facebook Lives of different things that I've shared. So thank you for your time today. If you are interested in purchasing any of these items or Sale-A-Bration, or you need a catalogue and you don't already have a demonstrator and things, please get in contact with me and I'll be happy to help you. So thanks for your time today, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.